come from? Are you trapped too?
Do not approach the Titan.
Sorry, kid, but I've got a job to do.
If we are fortunate, it will destroy you. I am extending the range of my control, but I can still only command a few of the Ancient's relics at a time.
Commendable. But what about finding me a way out of this digital dimension?
I have run 1,700,050 simulations. There is no scenario to safely remove you from cyberspace.
Unacceptable. Keep looking. Make it your #1 priority.
But keeping you safe is my priority.
I've lost count of how many times you've saved me from the hazards here.
It is my function. I live to serve.
You've exceeded your function. I'm very impressed with you, Sage. No, I'm proud of you.
Such a beautiful friendship. A family born of love and not genetics. Everything I want. I wish I'd never seen this. It was so much easier accepting the future when they were simply enemies. There's something I need to tell you. Master Roswell, I love you. Yes, and I do feel as though I've wronged them. But still, I can't help caring about you. My love will be prioritized over the feelings of the dead. Now, Great Spirit!
What just...
This is the root of all evil. Now it's done. At last.
The boss! I just boosted everyone's points! And I have a special reward for the player who worked the hardest! You're this battle's MVP. Congratulations! See you at the next battle! We sure had a big crowd last night, huh?
Yeah, I guess we did. The next one will be even bigger.
Yeah?
Don't tell me you're interested in this.
So many words. It looks boring.
No, it's like reading a journal of my memories.
The swordsman said, once I draw my other sword, the battle's over. For you. He sounds totally cool! Come on, read the rest.
It's a special stage.
Here we go.
Hey!
Hey, hello.
How's
Sorry.
it going, Philip?
It's going great. How about yourself?
Good! Good to see you!
Sorry, my heart is beating. I'm trying to get it down.
Oh, no worries. No worries at all.
I was like, why am I nervous? She may be a voice actor, but she's still just a person.
It's all good. I appreciate you having me. I'm excited to chat with you.
No problem. I know I think you remember the times I was tagging you all last year, and I was trying to get you to come to my hometown, but Kaylee texted me like on DMs and saying like, unfortunately we don't get to choose where we can go. Hopefully next year though.
Oh, yeah. I guess what's your hometown? I forget.
Savannah, Georgia.
Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, I think the best way to get us invited to a con is just for, like, you to reach out to the con and be like, hey, I would love for you to invite these people. They're in this, you know, they have big credits or whatever, like amp us up, you know, gas us up and make us sound like we're important, so they invite us. But yeah, we basically have to get invited by the con, and some cons will listen like, oh, like, you know, we've been getting emails from our attendees that they want to meet this person or whatever. So sometimes they will listen to the request of the people coming, but sometimes they don't, you know. It's just it depends on the con, I guess. But the best way to help us get invited is for you to like reach out and tell them, you know, you should invite this person.
I tried since February 2025.
Okay.
When we got to July, didn't go through. So
maybe next year.
So
what is the big con that's over near you?
MomoCon.
Oh yeah, that would be a good one. I would love to do it someday.
So I'll make sure
Fingers
to put
crossed.
a list.
Yes, thank you. Fingers crossed. Then, you know, I can come say hi to you in person, hopefully.
Sure thing. But anyway, your day's going good. I know it's the middle of the week.
Oh yeah. No, it's going good. I'm off today, so that's great. But I do have auditions to do, so it's always, you know, a little bit of work even on your days off. But yeah, it's good. I got to sleep in today, so no complaints there.
Me too.
Yay!
Well, if the small talk is over, I guess we can get it underway. I like doing the small talks first.
Fair. I appreciate the slow entry into the tough questions.
Exactly. Well, let's do this. So,
all right.
Happy Wednesday, everybody. This is Phil, host of the Conversation Podcast, and as y'all can see, I'm rocking my new gaming chair I got last weekend. So, good way to start it off. I actually have a big guest with me here today. Ryan Bartley. You may know her as Ram for Ring Zero, Sage from Sonic Frontiers, and Yuna from Sword Art Online. It's nice to finally get to talk to you, Ryan.
Aw, thank you for having me. It's so fun to get to talk to you.
Sweet. So, before we get to the main thing, let's start with a little bit of an icebreaker.
Okay.
You're a big Texas Rangers fan. What does that fandom mean to you?
Bringing up my hometown. Yeah, I was actually born in Fort Worth. So strong Texas Rangers community. I mean, I think back on those summer days sitting in the Texas Rangers stadium with my family, and it just brings you back, you know. I haven't been in a minute. It's been a while because I don't live in Texas anymore. I live in Los Angeles now. But yeah, I mean, I'll always be a Texas Rangers fan at heart. Luckily, they've had a few really great years in the past, I don't know, decade or so. So it's been fun to kind of get to watch on TV, and sometimes I will go if they play against the Angels out here in LA, which they do often. Then every once in a while I will get to pop in and see a game in person. But it's kind of funny because then I'm in like Angels territory, and I'm like one of the only people in my Rangers gear, you know. So I'm like kind of on enemy territory. but yeah, and then I'm also a big Dallas Cowboys fan as well.
Ooh, my dad is too.
Oh, nice.
So he's a diehard Dallas Cowboys fan.
Yeah. So it's you know, hopefully we'll have a good season this year. We'll see. We're always hopeful.
They have been trying to promote more anime stuff in sports now.
I saw that. Yeah, like they had the JJK night and stuff like that. That's so cool.
They also did One Piece and the Los Angeles Lakers too.
Yeah. How cool is that? I want the exclusive merch.
Yeah, and they did the same thing for My Hero Academia too.
Yeah. I also go to I love Hello Kitty. I'm also on the Hello Kitty animated show. I play Pom Pom Pudding, who is this little guy here. And so sometimes I'll go to the Dodgers Hello Kitty nights, which I'm also a Dodgers fan.
Okay,
So,
sweet.
Yeah.
Hey, well, keep going to the sports events if you can.
I know, right? I know. Definitely.
Well, now that the ice is broken, let's go ahead and get into it.
All right.
So, for the first two sections, they're going to be two-part questions, okay? Because I know you're a big person, you got a tight schedule.
Thank you.
So, first one is, growing up in Fort Worth, did you always see yourself ending up in entertainment? And part two is, how did attending Booker T. Washington High School for the Performing and Visual Arts shaped you as a performer?
Wow, those are really good questions. So, to answer your first question, it was always my dream to be a performer. From the time I was a little kid, I was in dance lessons, and very, very early on, like when I was really little, we're talking like 6, 7, 8. I was in obviously ballet, tap, jazz, normal, dance classes, and then also piano is what I started out with in the musical world. But I wasn't so much into piano. Eventually I switched and started learning guitar. And the whole time I was also like trying to do musical theater and plays and community theater. And at a lot of the theaters that some of them are still around in the DFW area. Some of them, unfortunately, are not. One of the ones that I did a lot of plays at growing up was called CATS, Creative Arts Theater and School in Arlington, Texas. So shout out to CATS. And I had just amazing memories there, built really strong friendships, and learned a lot of foundation about like kind of teamwork and like taking care of your props and costumes, kind of like those basic things that you learn, like respect, like things that like come into play when you're like your foundational level kind of stuff that you have to know if you want to be a performer or an actor, because it kind of sets you up for the future as an adult. So, we would have auditions. We would learn, you have to do a song, or you have to learn this dance or whatever. And then you would have to learn how to deal with rejection, and like also how to do your best with like a small part. Like there's no small parts, only small actors kind of thing, So like you learn kind of like all these basics about what it really means to be a performer. And as well at Booker T. Washington. Booker T. Washington is the Magnet Art High School in Dallas, which it's actually a very famous school. Norah Jones went there for jazz music, and they have 4 clusters. They call them clusters, which is kind of like majors: theater, dance, music, and visual arts, which is like painting, sculpting, pottery. And so I was in the theater cluster, and in the theater cluster, they make you take costume design, makeup design, set construction. Everybody also takes mime and movement, and then after your first year of mime and movement, you can audition for what they call the mime troupe, which is basically an audition-based class that you take during the normal day, during your school day, focusing on specifically mime and movement, and we did a whole show every year fully in mime. Which is kind of funny because now I'm a voice actor, so I'm not, it's like the opposite of mime. But in some sense, it's kind of similar because it is acting with an isolated body part, right? Like having to show all these emotions with only using this certain part of your body, or in voiceover, just your voice, But it's that kind of that same thing where you're like expressing through also isolation. So anyway, I had this really strong foundation of like all these different types of artistry that gave me sort of a general base of respect for all of these things. And it kind of humbles you too, because all of these things are hard. They're all kind of like life passions, These things are not like, oh, I'm going to go into costume design for money making or something like that. Like you have to like really love the artistry of all of these parts of the craft. And if you're going to work in any of them, it is important to have a respect for all the others, because teamwork makes the dream work, right? You can't do any of these things alone. You can't do a play alone. You can't do a movie alone. You can't do a cartoon alone. These are community-based sort of collaborative efforts for the most part, unless you're doing like a one-man show or something like that. There's some exceptions, but by and large, these are all things that like you use, you work with other people, and you bring something to the table to collaborate with them artistically, and you check your ego at the door, and you kind of have to learn how to just sort of be in it for the right reasons, I guess, because you kind of learn all the struggle that goes behind those things too, as opposed to like, someone who just like, nowadays, every once in a while, like there's someone who just is already famous for whatever reason. Maybe they're a VTuber or whatever, like maybe they're a YouTuber or something like that, and then they're just kind of like already famous for their other stuff, and then they decide, oh, I want to try voice acting, and oh, well, you know, I'm already famous, so lo and behold, it worked out for me. It's like, okay, well, that's, you know, not really the same thing as like kind of working your way up from like theater or something. But not that I don't respect those people, because the truth is nowadays everything goes. There's people that are working that have that backstory. There's people that are working that have my backstory. They're all equally valid. We're all working on the same stuff together now, you know? So, but in terms of my journey, that's what I came from. I came from theater, and I came from having to kind of learn, like, hang up your costume at the end of the day. In fact, one of the theaters I grew up working at, if you didn't hang up all your costume pieces and the costumer found one of them at the end of the day, you were charged $5 or you couldn't get it back, because it showed you the respect that you need to take care of this thing. You need to put it back where it belongs, you know? And so I kind of had like a pretty, like, in some ways strict kind of theater upbringing, but at the same time, that's how theaters run. Like, that's how, like, Broadway, you know, I mean, that's how, like, theater in all parts of the world, like, you kind of do have to take this seriously and, like, respect other people's work, know that you're all there for the same goal, listen to other people, collaborate, you know, these sorts of things, take direction, which is something I have to do all the time as a voice actor now. You know, these sorts of like what I call like foundational core sort of education that sort of you can build upon later in life. So I still use those things. It's kind of like built in me now. I don't actively think about it that much because it's how I was brought up. But like these sorts of things that, you know, before we started this interview, I told you, oh, I'm off today, but I have auditions, you know, like that's very normal for voice actor. We have to have that self-discipline, you know. So it's that sort of self-discipline kind of foundational thing that really set the stage, the stage, but it really set the tone for like my career as a whole. So it just helps you develop your work ethic, you know, and kind of have what it takes to sort of sustain yourself long term, because it is like a hard industry, and it's also kind of a lifetime thing, right? Like, we're not trying to like make it big, do one big thing and then never do it again, you know, like we're trying to continue. We want to have longevity in this career. So this sort of foundational kind of core education that I was able to get through community theater and also through Booker T. Washington High School for the Performing and Visual Arts, all of these things help me now. They really do. Like that, they make me who I am as an artist. And I think that that's like why I've been able to sustain, you know, now, I mean, I've been doing this for like 20 years, so it's you're in it for the long game, you know, but you do have to kind of like learn certain foundational things, I believe, for me personally, to kind of have the sort of career long term that I'm hoping to have.
Right.
So I think I truly give it up to my teachers, my theater teachers growing up. Like, all of them really did sculpt who I am. And I think about them often because I'm still doing it. Not everyone goes on to do it. Some people, you know, they do theater in high school, whatever, then they move on, they find other dreams and passions as an adult. But, you know, like, I hope my theater teachers know, like, I'm still doing it. I'm still using what you taught me. And other people use it in their daily life in other ways. But, you know, I'm still using it, and so shout out to any sort of theater teacher out there, or music teacher, dance teacher that might be listening to your podcast. You never know what kind of kids you're inspiring for the next generation of artists. So I definitely have to do a shout out to my teachers growing up, because they really were great, and I don't think I would be who I am without them, having been part of my journey. So I just have to say that. Sorry to interrupt you. Very long answer.
No. I want you to preach. I want you to preach.
There you go.
And listen, and here's the thing, Ryan. Are you happy with what you're doing?
So happy. So
then that's what matters.
Exactly. I wouldn't change it for the world. Is it hard? Yeah. Is it always a grind? Yeah, it actually is. It doesn't get easier. I say a lot. I'm like, if it gets easier, maybe someday, but it's definitely at a level higher than me. I can tell you that. Like, maybe if you're even, you know, if you're more famous than me, maybe you're getting offers left and right and it gets easier. I don't know. But for me, where I am, I'm still on the grind. I'm still auditioning. Everything I get, pretty much. I mean, there's been a few offers here and there, but like, by and large, I'm mostly still auditioning for everything I book all the time, and mostly getting rejected. Well, you know, it's that's what it is. It's, you know, it's rejection's a weird word, but that's true. Like most of the things I always tell people, this is what I'm booking that you see all the characters you know me for, and this is all the things I didn't book, but that's just how it is. That's just really how it is as an actor. And you have to, luckily I learned that early growing up auditioning for plays. You learn, the life lesson that you don't always get the lead. That's how it goes. You got to do your best in whatever role that you are cast in, period. And so luckily I have been blessed with some really, really cool roles, and I'm thankful for all of them, truly. Any chance that you have a chance to work is a blessing as an actor, truly. So big or small, but if they're more intricate, obviously you always get excited because you want to delve into the psychology of a character. So if they get more screen time, you get to explore more. But yeah, I mean, I'm thankful for it all, truly, and I am so happy to answer your question. A resounding yes.
I do my best. I come with receipts.
Yeah, exactly.
So, section 2 is going to be one question, okay?
Okay.
Now, what was your first experience working in anime or voiceover, and how did it feel stepping into that world?
Oh, okay. So I don't really remember my first voiceover gig so specifically, because I did start doing voiceover when I was a child. And so basically what happened is I was doing plays, and I got an agent for on-camera work, and I was starting to take classes for film acting in Dallas and go out for commercial auditions, and they do shoot a lot of things in the South, in Dallas, and in Atlanta and Louisiana. So I was auditioning for on-camera work, and I had an agent, and they just started sending me voiceover auditions. And that was kind of my first. I had my first agent when I was like 9. I was pretty little. Right. So I don't fully remember like my very first voiceover gig per se. I do remember my first like not long-term, but kind of recurring voiceover gig. I was the main character of the audiobook portion of a English language textbook that they use in Japan to teach the kids English. It was called New Horizon English textbook. And the main character of the textbook that takes you through and teaches you English, her name was Emi Ito. And so I was the voice of Emi Ito, and it came with a CD. Like the book had a CD that the kids would listen to and use. So it was very simple English. It was like, the ball is red. Like it started like very basic, and then it got a little more complicated as the kids got older, and it was a whole like book series. So that was my first like recurring kind of like gig that I had to go into more than once. I think before that there might have been like a commercial gig or two. Well, there was also around the same time I started working for Radio Disney, and because Radio Disney uses real children to do their on-air promos. Right. I don't know if they still exist, but if they do, so. when they did, they used real kids, and they had a big office in Dallas, and so they would hold these public auditions where kids could come out and audition, and they would take groups of kids like 10 at a time, and you would each get a sheet, and there'd be like all these lines like 1 through 10, and you would be reading off like down the line, like just you read number 1, you read number 2, you read number 3, and they would be like, this Saturday at the Honda Center, the Cheetah Girls are coming to you. And so like they would be like Disney like promos for Radio Disney. And I can still do it. It's so funny like how easily I slip into it. And then there was always Radio Disney, we're all ears. And and all the tags. And they wouldn't even just be like Dallas, Fort Worth. They would be tags for all over. So you might be doing like Radio Disney 77.6 Atlanta. Like you might be doing whatever. You might be doing for somewhere else in the country, but they would use real kids. So that was like around the same time. That was maybe a little bit before the English language textbook, but by the time I did the English language textbook, I remember I was a freshman in high school. So I was about 14 probably at that time, because I had to take time out of school. Like I was like leaving class to go do this a couple times a week, not for that long. Like we got through it, pretty quickly. But yeah, I had to like go do this gig during the day and get permission to leave class. And luckily, because I went to a Magnet Art high school, they were supportive of the kids that were able to get professional gigs. That happens. So they were able to work with me and make sure I was still keeping up with schoolwork and stuff. So those were kind of like my first introductions into voiceover was like Radio Disney and then this English language textbook. And then for like years, I just like didn't book anything. Like I had a really intense dry spell where I had started working in Los Angeles. I used to come out to LA for pilot season and episodic season as a teenager. And I was able to, through an acting coach, get an interview with an agent and secure a voiceover agent. But I wasn't booking. And that went on for like, oh gosh, years. I mean, and basically through the rest of high school. and till I got to college, it was like I just couldn't get a job. I mean, I was auditioning and I was getting better and I was taking classes. But there was just like a lot of dry years, And I think that's pretty normal too. Like it takes time for people to get competitive. And also at the time, it was a little bit more of the trend was to hire like adults to play kids. Nowadays, they will hire actual real kids to play kids.
Right.
But at the time, like, whatever, like Rugrats, Doug, whatever, those were like adults, And then now we're in the era of like We Baby Bears and like, Adventure Time or whatever, Gumball, where they're using like real children and or teenagers. But that was unfortunately, I kind of fell in a weird position where like I was really young, like before that trend made the switch. And then once they made the switch, I was over 18. And all of a sudden I was like not as desired. They were like, no, we want like real kids on this show. Like, so I kind of had a tough time breaking in, to be honest, like, between like my later teen years and early 20s. It was just really hard, but it is hard for everyone. Like that's kind of just par for the course, I think, as being an actor. But luckily, with enough years and years of trying, and you make connections, you take classes, you get better, you figure things out, and like thank God, like I'm so thankful now to say I'm a full-time voice actor and employed more often than not. Just hoping that continues, never taking it for granted, understanding that could end at any moment. But for now, saying, I live another day. I get to say I'm a voice actor another day, So those were kind of my early experiences in voiceover.
Well, hey, sometimes you gotta walk before you can run. And yes, listen, I'll say this. You see a lot of people who've done like many experiences into this industry or any other career you choose to do. It's going to take time. Don't get disheartened or distraught that you can't do this. Listen. I've seen so many of you guys that I've been talking to, and some of the people I've interviewed before tell me like you can't think like people like you, Ryan Bartley. I was like, until I get to a certain level, I'm not even worth these people time right now.
No,
but they told me you can't think like that. It's not if you're worth their time. It's if they have time.
Yeah, that's so true. That's so true. And then I forgot to answer your question about what was my first anime. My first anime was a show called Yuki Yuna is a Hero at Bang Zoom. And I just did incidentals because they were just feeling me out. They threw a bunch of what we call incidentals. It's just like little roles, like it might be like student C or nurse A, like little roles that have one or two lines, right? And so they let me do that to kind of feel me out and see what do I sound like, what kind of roles do I play. And that was like I still remember, I mean, I took picture when the show came out, I bought the the DVD, the Blu-ray, the expensive collector's edition. And I took screenshots, of the characters that I voiced, even though it was like nurse, like you would never even like notice that nurse, but I was so excited and I posted the picture and I still am I remember Lauren Landa a couple years later when we or maybe not even 2 years later, maybe like a year later, we did Charlotte, and she could tell how excited I was to be on that show, and she was like, never lose that, like never let that go, because that's still how I feel. And like, so for anyone listening that wants to be a voice actor, if you book your first role on an anime and you're just doing little roles like student C or classmate B, whatever, I was there too. And I also freaked out. I was so excited. I took screenshots of those characters and posted about it. I was so happy, you know. So like never be ashamed of starting at the bottom ever. I promise you we all do. Cuz casting, they have to hear you. They have to understand what kind of roles does she play, you know? What does she sound like before they're going to throw you in and give you a bigger role. So but I still, I mean, Yuki Yuna will always hold a special place in my heart because that, I mean, come on, everyone's first anime is just like, hey, I was on cloud 9. I felt after I got to do that, I was like, I think I'm going to be okay. I think I'm going to be a real voice actor someday, you know? And I was right. It took a lot of time. It took a lot of work and it took a lot of time, but so grateful. And so your answer is Yuki Yuna is a hero, which is a good show. Yeah, it was a cute show.
I'll add it to the list for summer.
Yeah, my first named role was in Love Live School Idol project, and I was one of the fangirls of the main band. I didn't get to audition for that show because I think that when I met the casting directors at Bang Zoom, it was after they had already cast that show, so they were luckily still recording it, and there was a little role, and she had a name, and her name was Mika. It's the little one with pigtails, and that was my first anime role with a name. So that's another one that just holds a sentimental place in my heart.
I add that to the list too.
Yeah.
Well, let's get on to section 3, tell you.
Yeah.
It's time for your favorite.
Okay.
Iconic roles and fan favorites.
Okay.
Now, we are going to start with Ram from Ring Zero because y'all just started season 4.
Yeah, season 4.
Ryan, don't be mad. I haven't started the show yet.
That's okay,
it's okay. But I am thinking about watching it.
Okay.
So, Ram from Ring Zero, Starting Life in Another World, is such a fan favorite. Now, what makes her so special to you?
Well, you know, I mean, gosh, there's so many things, because I could answer that like, what makes the character special to me, right? Like, I love her love for her sister, how deeply she loves those that are around her. She's so like dead, like not even, I would say like relentless and strong, like really unbeatable if she goes all out kind of thing. Like she just really has a lot of fire in her at her core. You may not always see it, but if she unleashes, you will, you know? But then there's things that like I love about the experience. Like that's what I love about her as a character. She's a very well-written kind of intricate character with actually some pretty deep-seated pain that we see eventually. I won't spoil it since you haven't watched it, and maybe your listeners haven't watched it, but eventually you see kind of their backstory, the twins' backstory, and you see why she is the way she is. But also I have to say, like, the experience of ReZero, as just for my personal life, you know, I mean, I've been on this show now for about a decade, almost a decade. I think we started the dub in 2017, so it's coming up on a decade. You know, we've, like, the main cast, we have all grown a lot. Our careers have changed a lot. We became also very close through the process of doing the show. So I'm really grateful for the friendships that I've made through working on ReZero, because like Brianna that plays Rem, one of my closest friends in the world, and we were both in Kaylee's wedding. So, you know, I mean, I have genuine friendships that Ryan, have developed because of my journey with ReZero, and that I'm just so grateful for. And it has really kind of like, it's always been there. It's kind of always been in the background of like everything else that's happened in my career in anime so far has kind of happened while I've been doing ReZero. Like, I'm still doing it now, you know? So it's kind of been this interesting, like, constant backdrop to all the other things that have happened in the meantime, including Evangelion and Sonic and Hello Kitty. And whatever, Demon Slayer, JJK, you know, Nikkei, whatever. ReZero has been happening this entire time. So it is kind of a weird backdrop. Like, I do feel like it has a special place in my heart. It will always have a special place in my heart. It kind of did launch the careers of all 4 of the leads in terms of the anime world for us. Like we were doing other things and we had other credits, but this was like the first biggest one for the four main characters for Subaru, Amelia, Rem, and Rom. And so, and in Japan too, it really kind of launched those voice actors to another level. And so we as artists, I think, are always trying to demonstrate how much growth we've had too, and make every season better than the last. And the acting on that show has gotten better and better and better. And now you're seeing masters do what they do best. And it's actually kind of an insane thing to see because it's just so good. And everyone knows their character like the back of their hand. We've now had 3 different directors on the English dub. Luckily, and they've all been great. They've all been really, really great. And also the characters, the actors really know their own characters really well at this point. Obviously, we've been doing it for a decade. So we have actually kind of quite an astounding amount of consistency in who these characters really are, and making sure that we're always being really, really authentic to who they are at any one moment. Right now, the season 4 is being adapted by Kaylee Mills, who plays Amelia. So you know that they're going to do their best work adapting the script for us, because they play the main leading lady. So obviously they want it to be good. So in terms of just the adaptation, I feel really confident in what Kaylee is bringing to the table, and that can make or break you. Like, adaptation's very, very important in an anime. So. Yeah, I mean, there's things that Rom means to me as a character. There's things that the show means to me as in my personal life. But that's just kind of the tip of the iceberg. I feel like I could talk about that alone for like a whole nother episode, but I won't. I'll just say that it's really sculpted who I am, and I'm really grateful to still be on this journey. I have no idea when it's going to end. I don't know, because there's all these different routes that the story can go. So we're in it to win it. Like, we're in it as long as they'll have us. I hope we continue to make ReZero for the foreseeable future. I have no idea how it ends or when it ends, and I just want to keep making it. That is really the truth. And luckily they also make it really slowly. So even though we've been doing it for like a decade, we're only on season 4. So you know that they're really taking their time in terms of the story, the writing in Japan, the animation. Like, they're really taking their time to make sure that it stays consistently a really, really high caliber show. And then we'll make it, we'll dub it when we can. Like, we'll dub it when it's ready, but not before, because no one wants to rush the process, like, exactly. We want it to be good. So I'm just thankful, like, it has maintained its caliber this entire time. It's always been a good show. It has never had a bad season. It has gotten, if anything, better, which is actually kind of astounding for an anime. So there's a reason. If you're wondering, like, what are these 2 twins that I keep seeing at cons, the pink and the blue hair twin, who are they? What is this show? What is ReZero? Let me just say that there's a reason it has stayed relevant. There's a reason you see those twins everywhere. There's a reason that you have seen them for years. It's because the show is good. It's because the show is consistently good and has been good for years. And it's an isekai. Sometimes isekais get a bad rep, but this is like the best isekai. Like, this is like really just high caliber artistry, and I can't speak highly enough of the show. I'm so honored to be on it, and I'm lucky to be on it, and I'm happy to be on it for as long as it lasts.
That's amazing. And listen, I want to say this. Every show that you guys done, not just you guys at ReZero, every show has a personal experience that y'all went through in life, and I think that's powerful.
Yeah,
like I've seen so many shows and video games that really broke my heart. And I'll just give you one example, okay? I'm not gonna. I can go on, but we don't have all day. Take Gears of War, for example. If you ever played that game, I don't think you've played Gears, but you've heard of it.
Yeah.
So take Dominic Santiago, and I'm about to, when you get to Gears of War 2, he's trying to find his wife, but due to the locusts torturing her, she's unable to speak or stand. So he had to make a tough decision and euthanize her. Then in Gears of War 2, he felt like the war, what's the point of this whole war? And after when he sacrificed himself to save Marcus and the others, I started to understand he just wanted to be with his wife.
Mm-hmm.
So it was you see in those stories and
Yes.
games,
Yeah.
all those like, personal stories that
Yes.
deal with you guys in real life as well.
Yeah, yeah. There's also a technique in acting called substitution, where you take things from your real life and you're kind of thinking about those in part while you're doing the scene, just as a way to sort of anchor you into like, I understand this emotion. This is similar to this other thing I experienced in real life, which is, some people don't like this technique because they just want to focus on what exists within the character's world, and that's fair. To me, I do tend to use substitutions sometimes, depending on the situation. And but yeah, the storylines, like you said, real human emotions, really dark sometimes, storylines, sometimes really like traumatic experiences. We get those in anime and we get them in games because these are basically media written for adults. So the storylines tend to be amazingly intricate and sometimes really dark and complex, but as actors we love that stuff. We love diving into that, the really nitty-gritty kind of psychology of these situations. Not always happy, many times not happy at all, but very artistically fulfilling to explore these and tell these stories as well. So that is another reason I am so grateful for working in anime, because these are the kinds of storylines that, with all due respect, you're just not going to get in a Western cartoon that's made for children. Most of our cartoons in the West, they are made for children. I wish it wasn't that way. I wish we had more media, in the West that was actually made for more of a young adult kind of mind or whatever. But, that's not how it is. So if you want that kind of really intense, nitty-gritty, kind of dark character work, working in anime and working in video games really lets you get into that. And I'm so grateful for that.
Right. Well, hey, Ryan, keep telling those stories.
Thank you.
Next one is going to be Sage.
Oh,
By the way,
yes.
I just completed Chaos Island last night.
Ah, yay!
So I was trying to hurry before I have to put the stuff up on YouTube, but
Yay!
that's for me later tonight to work on.
Yeah, cool,
So,
cool.
Sage in Sonic Frontiers is such a unique character. What was it like stepping into a role that blends intelligence, mystery, and emotion?
Mm. Yeah, Sage, I had just finished doing Evangelion when I auditioned for Sage. So I did the 2019 dub for Netflix of Neon Genesis Evangelion. And my character in that is very similar to Sage. She was built by a male, basically father figure-esque character for a mission. She was built for a purpose. Very technical, very analytical in that sort of get the job done kind of way. And check your emotions at the door. You're here to do a job kind of way, but then also both grappling with, what is it to be human? Could I be that too? Do I have the longing that other humans have for connection, whether that be family or any sort of connection? And cause like for Ray, it's kind of friends, and for Sage, it's both friends, family. But reaching out to, or wondering if you're worthy of reaching out to other humans to make human connection, or are you just here to fulfill your duty? Wondering, as Ray says, who am I? But they're the same. They're very similar journeys. Sage and Ray from Evangelion, very, very similar journeys. And in Japan, Sage is voiced by the person that voices Rei Ayanami, which is a very iconic character.
I did not know that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, her name is Megumi Hayashibara. So she's very, very famous, and she was already an icon before she was in Sonic, and then they cast her as Sage. So, I mean, I don't know necessarily if that has to do with why I was cast as Sage. We'll never really know, like we're not in the minds of Sega or anything like that. But it seems like a very, very strange coincidence if it wasn't, partially part of the reason. But yeah, so the version of Evangelion that I did came out about maybe like 4 months before I got the audition for Sage, if that. Like, it was definitely less than 6 months. It happened the same year. I was already working on Sonic the same year that the Netflix dub was released, which was 2019. That's when we started Frontiers. And yeah, it takes several years for things to get made. So
it does, and if I can add to that, yeah, it does take time.
Yeah.
And I don't try to be quick about it, because after when they did Sonic Forces, it's 2017. I played the game so many times, but I was like, can they make this a game like with more freedom? My wish came true. Thing is, the way technology is evolving these days, the team at Sega Japan were trying to figure out where to take Sonic the Hedgehog for the next decade.
Right.
And try to define, what a true modern Sonic game is.
Yes, exactly.
So
yeah,
that's
and
why
I
we
think
got
they did a
technology.
great job. I love how Sega has allowed that franchise to evolve and mature with the fan base, because now you have a generation of adult Sonic fans. I know, because I meet them at cons all the time. There's tons, the Sonic fan base it goes all the way from tiny little kids to, honestly, I feel like most of them are adults, although that's most of them that I meet, so that's a very specific demographic of people that are actually going to conventions. So if you're like 11 years old and you love Sonic, your mom won't take you to a convention, well then, you're not going to be one of the people I get to meet. So my version of what a Sonic fan is, I understand that it's through a filter of who actually gets the opportunity to go to a convention. But I'm meeting mostly adult Sonic fans who have been with the franchise since they were little kids, and now they're, in their 20s, 30s, 40s, and they are really appreciative that the franchise has allowed itself to mature, and that, Sonic Frontiers was basically made for the adult Sonic fan. I mean, it's hard. First of all, it's a hard game. If I was a little kid, I don't think I could beat any of the bosses. Even now, because I don't play a lot of games, I'm not that coordinated. I personally couldn't even beat the first boss in Sonic Frontiers, because I'm just not really a gamer. But
I understand.
Yeah, but basically, it's a hard game. Like, you have to be a gamer. You have you have to be coordinated. And then second of all, the story is mature and sad in some ways. I won't spoil it in case your listeners haven't played all of it, but it's not like a happy-go-lucky kind of fairy tale world. Like, there's some real emotional stakes in Sonic Frontiers. So it is kind of that more mature version of like what a Sonic world could look like, and I love that Sega will allow its franchise to go there, and they understand the need for that, like, that, and they're still making things for kids too, meanwhile we have the Netflix show, we have the live action movies, and there's other games happening all the time. We have now a podcast, so there's content for all ages. But I love that Sonic Frontiers really set the tone for like entering the new era of what Sonic could be, to keep your fan base engaged, and also, give them what they want. They want a mature game, and it did well. So, it was the right move, obviously.
And that's amazing. I think they need to keep doing that, because,
Yeah.
some of the stories that I've seen, by the way, I did cry a few times.
I know, yeah.
Because, these are really important life lessons in there as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yep,
yeah.
I hear that a lot.
So I hope they continue to do stuff like that.
Me too. I mean, as an actor, like I said, we love digging into that. The more dramatic and the more tension, the more conflict, the more I cry all the time. Like, I'm an easy crier, so like I love like just letting it out. It's cathartic,
It's okay to cry. I cried one time back in season 1 of this podcast, because one of the stories touched me.
Wow.
So.
See, there you go. But you're in tune with your emotions. That's a good thing.
Great. One last question out of this section, then I want to get to section 4, because section 4 is going to be important. Okay.
Okay.
Yuna in Sword Art Online has such an emotional presence. Now, what was your approach to bringing her to life?
Okay, so Yuna is similar to playing Mikomo in Demon Slayer, which is that we don't really know what their life was like before they died. Spoiler alert, sorry.
It's okay. Listen, I watched the movie. Actually, nobody else watched the movie.
I know. I shouldn't have said, but that's like this is a this is either in Demon Slayer it's a ghost, but in Sword Art Online she's a AI version. But these are both like representations of someone who has passed, and we don't really know what their life was like before because we come into the story when they've already passed. And so as an actor, because you don't really have like those answers, they're kind of mysterious in that way. There's a lot of blanks that you have to fill in because you don't know, and you don't like necessarily want to make something up that isn't in line with the rest of the world. Like, you have to make an educated guess for yourself about what they could have been like in their life and what could have brought them to this moment. Like for Makomo and Demon Slayer, why do you think that this little tiny girl became a demon slayer? I have to make up those reasons in my own head. It's very likely that she lost her family in the same way Tanjiro did, you know? So, like, you kind of fill in the blanks for yourself to justify why they are the way they are. But with Yuna, same thing, is that, you know, she died in the original game of Sword Art. That's all we really know, is that she was a musician. She was a, what do they call it, a bard or whatever kind of character. Mm-hmm. But she died in SAO in the same way that, you know, Kirito and Asuna, like, they kind of were able to escape. She couldn't. And so she died in the original SAO. But that we don't meet her until we meet this sort of reincarnated version of her that her father, who's a scientist, has created. So again, that's also very, I play a lot of characters like that have been somehow formed usually by a male, formed or sculpted in some way to be sort of a version of who they were or who he wants them to be. And it is hard when you don't have the answers. I will say, like, in situations like that, you have to kind of lean on your director. The English dub director will kind of guide you in, like, what should this person be like? Because you're also kind of like, usually these characters are mysterious, but that's a hard thing to play when mysterious is not like a thing that someone, it's not really an attribute. Like, other things about them make them mysterious, but you can't really necessarily play mysterious by itself. You know, like, what about them? Where is this coming from? So you really, in cases like that where you don't have the answers, your approach has to be sort of, you have to be very directable. You have to listen to what your director says. You have to quickly kind of make decisions about what this character could be like. And then you just have to, like, go for it. Try something and let them guide you. Let them course correct you and say a little bit less of this, a little more of that. And you have to be really directable. But that's kind of the, because I play a lot of characters who are like the mysterious one in some way. Right. And it usually comes from a guarded place of, like, there was some trauma, they were hurt, and they're trying to figure out who they are. And so they don't put their cards on the table. And these characters also usually tend to be pretty intelligent. So they're not idiots, but they also have a naivety that is, like, makes them sort of innocent in some way, because they aren't human in the way that others are human. They're still learning, and they're sort of innocent to humanity's ways in that way. And kind of like there's this pureness to that. Less with Yuna, because Yuna was human, but still she's now AI. Like, the version of her that we see is now AI representation of who she was. Luckily, because of the story writing, she's able to say, you know, Dad, let me go, and kind of put that to peace and sort of reclaim her humanity in her own way, like that. That's true.
And I kind of feel bad for the dad, because
I know, another tearjerker. Really,
yeah, he just wanted his daughter back.
Yeah,
that's all he wanted.
That's all. Yeah. It's just like, that's how he was dealing with that loss. And that's a very, like, if SAO existed, then that totally makes sense that someone would do that, because there's so many stories of all those other characters that we didn't see, but other people existed in the original Sword Art that didn't make it out, like Kirito. So, you know, that's what Yuna represents, is like all those people that like didn't get lucky. They didn't have, like she has her own boyfriend, kind of like Asuna and Kirito. She has a boyfriend basically that tried to save her and failed. So it's kind of like, whereas Makomo and Sabito are kind of like Tanjiro and Nezuko. This is the foil. This is the what could have been, what the main character could have lost. Right. So they're sort of set up writing wise to represent the stakes of like what could have happened. But you have to be, as an actor, you can't think of them just as a foil to the main character. You have to think about infusing them with their own totally individual humanity, so that it represents all the life that like the main character has to lose. Like, you have to make them really real people, because this is what is on the line all the time. So Sabito and Makomo walked so that Nezuko and Tanjiro could run, basically.
Exactly. Well, shoot, we got to keep paying attention to those stories for context clues. I know in high school I was mostly in for the entertainment, just trying to see you guys. But now I'm at an age where it's like, I just want to sit down and understand you guys now.
Yeah.
That's it. It's just part of growing up.
That's
as Sonic said, as Tails in Song for Tears last night, it's just part of growing up.
Yeah. You look for humanity. We're looking for humanity when we watch art. We're looking for a mirror into ourselves.
Exactly. Well, now we're in section 4. Before we continue, are you enjoying our discussion so far?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, definitely. I could talk about this forever.
Sure thing. So this one is going to be an important section, Ryan, okay?
Okay.
And since we're talking about Sword Art Online and Sage, section 4 is called AI, Emotion, and Digital Characters. And, technology is evolving these days, and I kind of figure, hey, Sage and Yuna are digital characters. Maybe I need to talk to Ryan about this one.
Yeah.
So this is going to be a 3-part question, okay?
Okay.
So the first one is, characters like Sage from Sonic Frontiers and Yuna from Sword Art Online both exist in digital spaces. Do you approach non-human characters differently? Number 2, how do you balance sounding artificial or controlled while still delivering real emotional depth? And last one, do you think audiences are becoming more connected to AI or digital characters in storytelling?
Yeah, I mean, the interesting thing is that these characters, even though they are AI, usually the story revolves around how human they are or not. And the main question, the exploration, is them finding their humanity. So it's still basically an exploration of humanity, not of AI. Even though they are AI. It's actually the fascinating thing about them is watching them become more human. So when you play an AI character, the focus is basically on how much you're sprinkling in humanity. You want to hear them figuring it out. You want to hear them questioning who they are and slowly becoming more and more human. So, I don't necessarily approach it a different way than I would another character, but I will say it's more pulled back. It's a more subtle version of acting, which I use my film acting background, because you basically just kind of really subtly infuse personality into a character with a more nuanced kind of performance, because you can hear it. But it's like painting with a fine tooth. I always say painting with a very fine tooth paintbrush, fine tip paintbrush. So it's just tiny little bits coming through all the time, and that's what makes those characters fascinating. So I think that why I've been successful at doing those sorts of characters is in large part due to my film acting background, because that's the kind of subtlety with which you have to let people into your psychology, let the audience in, is just through a tiny little window, sporadically. And then that's how you kind of like characterize the the Ghost in the Machine. Is just like not ever showing too much, not going over the top, very close to the chest, very kind of a more reserved performance in a lot of ways. But even Rom is like that too in ReZero, and she's not AI. So
Right.
there's characters I play like this in other ways. It's just like it has to do with subtlety. It has to do with control, and like I think I have a really good gauge on my own internal like emotional state. Like I can filter in and out things with a very like a sifter, you know what I mean? Like a really tiny little whole sifter. It's just like everything is there. It's just smaller. All the thoughts are there. Everything's just pulled closer into the self and projected outward less. But you still have to do it enough to where the audience is going to pick up on it. You know what I mean? So it has to do a lot with like your preparation work and how well you can get into the psychology of the character, because the performance will come out if your mind is in it and your mind is kind of like functioning in the way that theirs is. It will come out in that in your delivery vocally. The audience will be able to pick up on it. You don't have to push too hard. And you don't have to try to sound robotic or like try to be AI or anything like that. It's just about letting yourself be in control sometimes, and also letting yourself be curious, because a lot of those characters, the reason that they are fascinating is because they're fascinated, right? So in acting class we say it's interesting to watch people that are interested. That's what makes things fascinating to watch, is because they're interested in something. So my characters being AI or non-human, they're fascinated by the human experience. They're fascinated by what makes their new friends, like Sonic, for example, Tails. They're fascinated by what makes them do not maybe the logical thing, because it's not about self-preservation. It's about something else. It's about love and friendship and these concepts that I'm curious about, that I want to understand, because they don't conform with numbers or research or data. What is this other thing? So there's a deep curiosity about the human state. And that's where that comes in. But I, as a person, also have a deep curiosity about the human state. That's why I'm an artist. That's why I'm an actor. So it's not that different, really. And our job as actors is to find the ways in which it's similar, not to find the ways in which it's different, but to find the ways in which these characters are human or are shades of me. And so that's kind of my approach to them. And yeah, I mean, that comes off as aloof, reserved, mysterious, but those aren't really the things that I'm not trying to be those things, you know. I'm trying to exist in the world with a deep curiosity about the other, about Sonic, or about, about Shinji, or whoever it is that character is most interested in discovering. Who they are, because who am I? Yes, as Ray says, who are any of us? But these are really complex characters. I do feel really lucky to have gotten to do them so much. But it's an endless thing. Like, even still, I do not feel that I have explored that concept to the maximum. Like, I feel like I still personally also have more I can do in those realms. So the best is yet to come.
Right. And, like I said, AI is becoming a thing these days. And
Yeah.
I've seen so many shows deal with all kinds of technology, AI, Sword Art Online. I think pretty much Sword Art Online, just like when it first came out, when I was watching it in high school, it was basically showing me like what the future looks like. And technology's been so grand in like the year, because we're in 2026 right now. So we're getting close to the end of the decade. So we managed to get a taste of that in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
Like early 2010.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's just nice to have those kind of stories to help us understand. Sometimes computers, and this, hey, here's another example. I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay.
If you saw My Hero Academia the final season,
I didn't.
oh,
Not
you
yet.
didn't?
Not yet. No, not yet.
Oh,
But
okay.
it's okay. Don't worry about it. You can talk about
Okay,
it
so when All Might was trying to take down All for One, and he was almost out of his armored All Might suit, his AI program did one last thing for him.
still.
Yeah,
Really?
he was saying, Hercules, what are you doing? And then she was saying, I'm performing one last action. You must live.
Hmm.
So even computers can have feelings. And that really
Yeah.
touched my heart because All Might was on death's door and the computer jumped in to defend him.
Wow. I love that. Yeah. That's makes me even more excited to watch the last season. That's a nice moment.
That's why we see saying, okay, so
Yeah.
computers are not what they seem to be.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
So
there's always that question of, how human are they? That's always going to be the question.
it, exactly. So this is the last. We're at the finale now.
Okay.
So we're gonna wrap this up, okay? But we're making good time though.
Good.
So now, with your background from USC School of Cinematic Arts,
Mm-hmm.
do you see yourself stepping into more writing, directing, or creating your own projects in the future?
Oh, that's such a great question. I honestly don't know. I, my parents always thought I would be a writer. That was one of the reasons that they named me Ryan, to be honest, because they didn't want anyone to discriminate against me, for my name. Like, if they just saw my name, they wanted, the people not to know, is this, male, female, whatever. So they, for some reason, they didn't push me into writing. I never, that, nothing like that. But for some reason, they always sort of instinctually thought that I would write someday. And at USC, I did do a minor in screenwriting. So I took a lot of screenwriting classes. They have a BFA as well, for screenwriting. So I was not that. Some of my closest friends were, though. But I was just a minor in screenwriting. And, I don't know. I right now, to be totally honest with you, right now at this moment, I am fulfilled being a voice actor and telling other people's stories. But I don't know what the future holds. I really don't. I wouldn't be altogether shocked if I did write I have a book idea I really want to write. So I always joke that when AI takes our jobs as voice actors, I'll finally try and write my novel, but that's just something I joke about. But who knows? I mean, truly, if AI does put us out of work, which, we're very aware of that possibility. We hope and pray that doesn't happen, but we know that the way that technology is moving and it exists. The technology to put us out of work, it already exists. It's not being used because it's just not the same thing as hearing real human emotions. It really isn't. So I personally haven't seen a lot of work dry up yet, but we are very aware that the potential exists. So who knows if there comes a day where, I can't get a job because AI has taken all the voiceover jobs and I have to write myself a role and direct something and make my own content, then I will absolutely do that. I will do whatever it takes to continue to tell stories for the rest of my life in whatever way that takes, whatever form that takes. So we'll see. I mean, I really, really am fulfilled right now being a voice actor, and that is artistically checking all the boxes for me because I also get to explore so many different conditions, so many different human conditions and circumstances and lives and journeys and worlds. I mean, I get to explore so many different things that, and sometimes in the same day, like you said, we are, we're recording ReZero Season 4. I have a session tomorrow, and then after that, I go and do another one of my recurring roles for another show I've been doing for years. So, in the same day, you know, I get to explore both of these crazy, iconic worlds. So I'm pretty fulfilled artistically at this moment, but I will never take it off the table in terms of, like, what am I going to create in the future? I don't know. I would love to write. Like I said, I have an idea for a novel that also does deal with the experience of having others question your humanity and being not fully human, perhaps. So, like, I have a story, and who else to tell that than someone who's already, you know, played all these characters and has really dived deep into that psychology. I definitely have an opinion and want to share my version of that kind of character in a way that I created that character from scratch. Like, I wrote them, you know. I want to do that. But I don't know when that will be. Like, is this something I'm going to write when I'm in my 40s or like 60? Who knows? Like, you know, when I have time, / if the work ever dries up, / when the story is ready to be told, when I'm the version of me that I'm supposed to be, when I'm gonna write that story, I don't know. I just don't know. But yeah, I don't necessarily see myself directing. I'll say that. Like, if anything, I would probably want to write it, and then I also always want to act. Maybe not necessarily in something I wrote. But
it will come when my time is right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, and like you said, I have a background in film from one of the best film schools in the world. So, you know, I'm sure everyone, USC included, would love to see me use that degree. But I am using, I mean, like, I work in the entertainment industry. So, like, I feel like I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing right now for me, for my journey. But I don't know, in the future, we'll see. Time will tell. When the time is right, I think when I'm the version of me I'm supposed to be, and when the stars align, then I am going to put my version of my, you know, of a story into the world, probably in some form. And I'm doing it a little bit all the time in my voice acting. Like, I'm getting that out. So, you know, we'll see what else happens. We'll see.
Exactly. Well, I guess that kind of wraps it up, and we made it to an hour, as I promised.
We did. It's an hour. Yeah. Good chat.
Did you enjoy our discussion today?
I did. That was so much fun. Your questions were amazing. Yeah.
Listen, I don't come here with nothing.
You do your research. Yeah. Good job.
I tell you, I be doing my research. So, yes, we be doing research.
Thank you. No, those were excellent questions.